The new Citroen C4 Cactus is, in this case, not only a mere facelift, it's not an all-new vehicle, we know it before, but here it comes with extensive product updates, a lot of changes on the exterior in the whole model lineup in the compact segment at Citroen, and a new suspension technology, which is very interesting. We will tell you everything about it, exterior and interior technology on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars. Today with me, with Thomas. Join us in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! So the front has been redesigned, even slimmer, the top LED daytime running lights. The normal headlight unit is below that. It looks less crossover-like, it's also a little bit lower. Some white accentuations right here. I like this new lounge color, by the way. This, very interesting color for sure. But in general, already in the front, it takes the new Citroen signature style, as we know also from the new C3, C3 Aircross, for example, or the C5 Aircross, which is sold in China. This one is supposed to appeal to a wider audience group, and it looks less crossover stylish, as I said, a little bit more elegant for sure. This will be a very crucial change for sure, because this one here will replace the C4. This one here is now the number one compact hatch for the Citroen model lineup. 4.17 m or 13.6 is the total length, so 2 centimeters longer, just a small change due to the overhangs. So the chassis has remained the same. It is not the entirely all-new car, but even a drastic change here in the side profile, because so far you had the huge air bumps right here, and well, they looked extraordinary. It was an extraordinary car, but they didn't sell enough vehicles because the markets are usually quite conservative and extraordinary cars are not bought in the millions. So here they moved the air bumps to the lower area. Here they are still effective, but not as effective as before, because the thickest part of the door is right here. However, it works that the car does look more elegant, so less extraordinary, more elegant. From a car enthusiast perspective, you like to have extraordinary cars, but then again you also have to think about sales. Also, the roof rails have been removed to make it more normal looking in the compact segment. 16 or 17-inch rims, those ones here are the optional 17-inch with this, square look at some point. It does still have some crossover elements like, the plastic wheel arches right here. And the roof seems to be flying due to the black glass element right here. This is a design trick. However, this, of course, is still a classic C-pillar. So I would like you to know what you think about those changes. Tell me in the comments. If you're wondering, by the way, why I'm standing outside at the world premiere and maybe some traffic noise in the background, well, here on the outside cars, on those vehicles here, we have room to operate, and there are not 1,000 people around the cars that would maybe be blocking your view. So the new rear has also been redesigned here with LED taillights. You can see it right here, nice signature. Also a little more subtle with the air bumps, but still there's, especially in the rear, still this plastic fender for Paris traffic, for example, that you don't scratch your car too easy. And this one here, the plastic part, can be removed, of course, a little easier. I would like you to comment on the new design of the Citroen C4 Cactus. What do you think about this, well, rather drastic development that they've actually taken back the extraordinary design a little bit? Do you find it more elegant than before? Is it better or worse than before? Tell me in the comments. 358 to 1,170 liters is the boot capacity, quite square dimensions. You can also have a replacement tire right there. And well, flipping the seats from the rear is not that easy, so you have to go around and then press the button at the rear seats, and then you have here a 2/3, 1/3 split right there. It raises a little bit. You can, when you push up the head restraints, you can put it a little bit lower. That's how it looks like, and of course you can remove that one as well. And I always like to show you as many colors as possible. Here now the white one is rather cream white, and I think in this setup here, together with the black wheel arches, it still looks more crossover-ish. Or what do you think? So with a bright color, obviously, it looks more extraordinary again and a little bit more alike than the previous version. And now I want to show you another silver or grey car. Is it silver or grey for you? Well, I always have discussion about colors with my wife because I obviously sometimes don't really get the colors, you know. Maybe it's the male thing, I don't know. But let me tell you something more about technology, because you maybe remember the Citroen Hydropneumatic suspension, which was like the car was going straight and evening out all the bumps below that. Pretty impressive. It was abandoned for, long time now, but now they have a new suspension system, again working with hydraulic dampers, but there are no separate canisters. It just works via the normal dampers, and it's actually called PHC, and that stands for Progressive Hydraulic Cushions. So it's not exactly the same system as they used before. It really rather works like that. Every damper here on every wheel, the hydraulic is actually dampering when it goes in and out again. And the result is supposed to be the same as before, that the vehicle really runs straight and the bumps are evened out below that. So we really look forward to drive this one. And the advantage is it's not supposed to be that expensive. And if you pick the entry-level engine, which is available in some markets with 82 horsepower, then it's not standard. But for all other engines, and it means, for example, the German market, because the German market will not receive the entry petrol level engine with 82 horsepower. So, for example, Germany will always have a C4 Cactus with this new suspension type. And this is pretty new for the compact segment. And maybe Citroen can make their way back again to a very innovative brand, because when you think about it, 100 years ago, Citroen was among the leading premium manufacturers. Cannot think about that one today, but maybe they take a technology leap back now with this new technology. So engines, also some updates here. There will still be the 1.2 liter 3-cylinder engine as a petrol one. Now then with 110 and new 130 horsepower. The 110 you can also get with the automatic transmission. This one then is a real converter auto gearbox, because formerly you had this automated manual transmission for this one here. So glad to have a real automatic now. And 130 horsepower, the top engine is with then the manual shifting. And then also diesel-wise, there are 4-cylinder diesels, 1.6 liter, and they have 100 or 120 horsepower. With the diesel, it's the other way around. The strongest one is combined with the automatic gearbox. So good to have the real automatic gearboxes here now for this car, and also some stronger engines, to give a little bit more boost to the portfolio. And again, as said earlier, there will also be an 82 horsepower entry-level petrol engine for some markets. That one will not have the new hydraulic suspension as standard, but then optional. All other engines will have the new suspension. And again, really looking forward to test that one. So let's get inside. Door closing sound. It's quite solid, I think. Then the inside of doors, this is hard plastics, but then you have some nice solutions right here with soft materials. This one here inspired by vintage luggage look. This one has been the way it is for the Cactus from beginning on. And also here, this one should also be supposed to be this vintage luggage look style. There are new interior trim levels and new styling looks you can take. Grey cloth would be standard. This one here is also a grey cloth trim, but this is the optional one. This is supposed to be the wild grey interior, if I get it right. There's also Metropolitan Red with red accentuations. And there are two so-called hype interior. Those ones, however, contain animal skin, which is rather unnecessary, because those seats you can see already in design. Very interesting. The whole seat has been redesigned. You can see that there are now those separate elements right there. And they are the new so-called advanced comfort seats by Citroen. They are 15 millimeters thicker in the bolstering. So I'm really looking forward to test drive it for a longer time to see what is the comfort like. And well, from the first seating, the thing is that the whole seat itself is a little bit stiffer. So it gives you more feedback on longer travel. But then the top part has more bolstering. And this one, is for example, a recipe for more comfort overall. They're quite wide, those seats. You can see they have those manual controls right there. And here also, for example, for the lumbar support. The lower part then is a little bit narrow to change the back part of the seat. So, seating position. I mean, it's not exactly a vehicle for the tallest people. Let's pump it down yaw as far as possible. And let's see, with the panoramic roof. Well, here I have enough headroom, but just when I lean forward a little bit, then it gets a little bit closer. But overall, I think still okay also for taller people. The steering wheel can also be adjusted. All 4 ways. Like this. It's a small dashboard. You can see it also in the full review of the Cactus. So there are small digital gauges in front of the driver for speed and something like that. The main thing. The steering wheel has been kept. Overall, the seating experience is really different than in other vehicles. So it's really a big difference. You more feel like in a sofa chair, like this lounge atmosphere you have here also with a lot of room. And of course, I cannot have a final verdict right now from sitting on it for some minutes, but we will definitely have a verdict for you later. I think it's a very interesting approach, and in general, Citroen wants to stress the comfort level of their cars. This one, they say, so the new seats together with the new suspension, they say they want to make it their primary unique selling point. So the interior overview in the front, here again with this vintage luggage look, for example. The car is not entirely powered, so this infotainment screen we've shown you before, 7-inch, comes standard with the vehicle, makes everything look rather clean, and climate control and GPS you all control here with the hotkeys right there. So you have a lot of room here in the interior, that's for sure. And the main thing is, well, they have worked on the sound insulation through the engine. They've insulated that more thicker windows overall, so you have a calmer sound experience in the car. USB port in the lower part, 12-volt power supply, some things to put your stuff right there, shallow beverage holders rather. And this one here is the new full automatic transmission, also then with the converter gearbox, not not that pleasant one we had before with the automated manual transmission. Still a manual handbrake, and everything looks really very clean here in the whole area. And you also have a lot of room, also shoulder space, because it's the so-called airbag in roof technology. So the airbag is not put to the side, it's hidden in the roof. So the panoramic roof, it goes over the whole car, and you see there's no sunshade. And well, Citroen says they have a special coating which is protecting against heat and also UV, for example. Let's see how that one plays out. So they say it does only let light in. And the middle armrest, well, it's nicely covered. Some little space inside. Here they could step up the build quality just a little bit. Maybe it's one of the first cars. I'll see if it will also be like this for later vehicles. So what about the rear compartment? What can we see here? Well, if I am sitting in the front, I do exactly fit in here because the new seats, they are thicker on the one hand, but they also spare the rear part a little bit out. However, you would have to tell the driver to put the seat a little bit higher to pump it up, because then my knees would better fit in this gap. If you have the seat at a lower position, it gets rather critical. Headroom wise, also, well, I'm hitting my head with the panoramic roof. So for taller adults, it's not the most ideal car, that's for sure. That's not the strength of this car. The strength is rather still, it is still somewhat extraordinary in the compact segment here, although they have, put away some of the very unique features, but especially on the interior, they are still there. And also here on the back part, you still have this very soft cushion for the seats, so really unique setting position for the seats. Again, I'm looking forward to test it for a longer time, especially this one here, and well, as those ones are so cozy cushions, it does also fit to those new cushions, as I call it, from the dampers, so nice concept. Here, by the way, the rear windows, they still fold up like this. This is also just for cost saving. The question is how often you open or close the rear windows. Well, if you do it frequently, not good for you. If you hardly do it, it won't matter. And let me show you another interior. This is called here Metropolitan Red, with those red contrasts here, so more wine red in the front. Also, this is rather, it's a different top fabric. So this one here is a little bit more, how can we describe it? The other seats I've shown you initially are a little bit rougher in the surface. Those ones here are a little bit more even in the fine structure. I have to say, I found it a little bit more pleasing from the ones we've shown you before because it feels a little bit more natural. Because I have a good idea. This one here rather feels like, the cloth of a jacket here, like this. And the other seats, the pure gray one, rather feels, like a cotton fabric, like below here. So this is actually here a good difference to describe it, how it feels, because we cannot transport feeling yet on Autogefühl, on car feeling, but that's a good way to describe it. Also, we have more color accentuations right here. I think it's a good surface material here. It really has some high class. And, it's of course extraordinary to have it in wine red too. But if you have the possibility, then at least you can really choose. Also, manual gearbox here, by the way. This is a 6-speed manual gearbox. You can see how they laid out the middle console in a little new way. And here we also have power on the infotainment system that I can show you. 7-inch, this is the GPS view. See, they have also worked a little bit on the reaction times, but this one does not work. It doesn't seem to be a capacitive one. So it's the maximum GPS view. We have to use the minus plus button. There we go. Because we were all the way zoomed in. So here they worked on the responsiveness. Then you also use the temperature like here. Well, if you're one that is going AC, auto, and never touch the AC controls, then it's totally fine. If you're someone who's always turning the knobs, then it's maybe a problem for you. Tell me, how do you use the temperature in your car? Just 22 degrees, AC, auto, or are you often changing it? Would be looking forward to your feedback. And here, this is a Bluetooth connection, but also you can plug it in and then use Apple CarPlay, MirrorLink, and Android Auto. It is optional. You have to check the box in the options list if you want to have this connection features. And then the digital dashboard we talked about earlier. Here now you can also see it. The speed is the main thing. It's pretty well in your line of sight and actually sufficient. You don't need to have so much more controls. And now we are joined by Citroen CEO Linda Jackson. Good to see you again. And let's maybe first start with a wider perspective. What do you think are the most challenging trends at the moment in the automotive industry?
Oh, the most challenging trends. Well, I think it's the markets, and from an English person, I'd have to say Brexit is pretty challenging for the European market. After that, I think it's the electric vehicles. Every manufacturer is chasing to produce their first electric vehicle. We're launching PHEV in 2019, 2020, first electric vehicle 2020, and then of course everybody is saying, well, that's very good, but where's the infrastructure? So I think that's the biggest debate at the moment, I think.
And what are the main challenges for Citroen at the moment?
Well, the main challenges for Citroen are some nice challenges, actually, because we're literally in a product offensive. That means we're launching vehicles every year. I literally was a month ago in China launching a larger SUV, a C5 Aircross. A couple of weeks ago launching a C3 Aircross, and of course here today we're about to launch a new C4 Cactus. So the challenges for us is that we need to launch those vehicles very successfully, and we want to see a growth in our volumes, which we are seeing now in Europe.
What about the C5 Aircross? Will it also come to the European market at the later stage?
Yes, it will. So C5 Aircross comes back end of 2018, so literally next year, early 2019. So yes, C5 Aircross will arrive in Europe, and it's doing very well in China, and I'm sure it's going to be a great success over here.
And now let's focus on today's vehicle. Why have you made this decision to, have this one here as the main compact car now in the lineup, and get it back actually from this rather standing out point to make it a rather normal vehicle if you compare it to the predecessor?
Okay, well, first of all, I wouldn't say it's still normal. I think it still stands out because I still think we've kept the spirit of C4 Cactus. But basically, we got to two points. First of all, C4 Cactus we launched in June 2014, and it was time to do an evolution, what we call a midlife. What we wanted to do was to make sure that C4 Cactus, which, as I say, was launched back in 2014, before we launched the new C3, before we launched the new C3 Aircross and the C5 Aircross, and we wanted to make sure that it was coherent and it really fitted into the complete new range, so that when our customers go into a showroom, they will see that, they see the signatures, they see everything that's Citroen, and they see that coherence. So that was the first thing. And at the same time, we knew that our C4 was coming to the end of its life, and therefore we decided, okay, well, let's be very efficient and let's see how we can evolve C4 Cactus to be able to attract both C4 Cactus customers and also C4. So we've moved a lot of things to do, change the exterior. I still think it's got an edge. But yes, we've tried to add a little bit more refinement maybe, but still providing that edge in terms of a Cactus. I mean, we've changed probably about 80% of the parts outside. And then inside, we've added loads of technology in terms of driving aid and connectivity. So it was really a reflection on both the lives of C4 and the C4 Cactus. And I would still say it's not a normal car.
Yeah, sure. If you compare it to other segment cars, it's definitely still standing out. So are you actually planning to widen the model portfolio on the one hand, SUVs, more SUVs, and on the other hand, a little consolidation? So is this part of the strategy?
So, I mean, part of the strategy is to end up with what we call our core model strategy, which is to have 8 core silhouettes which can be sold in many, many regions. And those core silhouettes will cover small cars, medium cars, larger cars, SUVs. At the same time, we have a core model strategy covering our commercial vehicles, which is a very important part of our business, so the vans that we do. And also we have another part of our business, which is where we have cooperations, where we make vehicles with other manufacturers. For example, the C1, which we make jointly with Toyota and Peugeot. That will continue. So our idea is to be able to cover the market with the combination of those 3 things, the partnerships, the core model silhouettes, and of course the commercial vehicles.
So what about the development with Opel? Will it also have an influence on the future Citroen cars? I mean, you started the cooperation even before the brand was purchased. How this will affect the new development?
I think there's 2 things there. I mean, first of all, yes, you're absolutely right. We've been cooperating and working with Opel for quite a long time now, because the new C3 Aircross that we've just launched literally a month ago is on the same platform as an Opel vehicle. It's built in an Opel factory, but when you look at the 2 vehicles, they're completely different. The positioning is different, so you can see that we have the ability to be able to create different vehicles and obviously protect the 2 companies' positioning. But yes, of course, in the future, that's some of the benefits of Opel joining PSA for us all, is that we'll be able to share platforms, technologies, economies of scale when you buy parts, research and development, and of course we increase PSA's group market share up to something like 17% in Europe. And, with the Europe market, automotive market being difficult, you need to have a little bit of size to be protected.
And as a last question, what about sustainability? Do you see it as nice to have, or is it a necessity in today's automotive production?
It's essential. I mean, you've got to look after the environment, you've got to be careful in terms of sustainability. So all of those things are very key on PSA's view. It's not a Citroen issue, it's not a Peugeot issue, it's not a DS issue or Purple, it's a PSA, and we take it very, very seriously in terms of sustainability. Which brings us back to the very famous question that you asked me at the beginning in terms of electric vehicles. Then obviously in terms of protecting the environment, there is a lot of work that needs to be done on sustainability and the protection of the environment.
Thank you so much for the insight.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And we also met Xavier Peugeot here. He is the product director for the vehicle and for Citroen themselves. Of course, we want to know, would you actually buy the car as it stands here right now, that it looks rather crossover-ish? Or would you rather go for the new launch color that you showed earlier?
I would choose the new version, that's for sure, but I would choose the blue version as I think it brings more status to the car and more coherence of the new Citroen, which is now building up.
So, considering this model line change, as far as I understood it, it also replaced the C4 and the C4 Picasso even.
No, this new C4 Cactus, will replace at the same time the current C4 and the previous C4 Cactus. It's a tremendous opportunity for us to use the strengths and the boldness of the original Cactus and to make it even more included in a more coherent way within the new Citroen range.
But that means that the C4 Picasso will still remain as it is, basically.
Definitely.
So where does it actually sit also if you consider upper or lower models? Will you do something like that there too in the model lineup, or how will it fit into the rest?
We are progressively reorganizing our product range to make it more international, to make it more coherent. And as you know, we have in line what we call a core model strategy, which means that we've identified 8 models, which will be the core product offer of Citroen at an international level. So definitely Cactus is part of it, and it helps better understanding the new Citroen range, which is made of C3, C3 Across, C4 Cactus and C5 Across coming up.
Maybe you can give us some more details on, some specifications. For example, what about the headlights? You have obviously new daytime running lights in the top with LED. Can you also tell us something about the main headlamps? What have you done there?
So globally, as you've seen, we've modified a lot of things on this Cactus, but we haven't lost the spirit of the car. The front has changed. It's more in line with the rest of the range to bring a coherent Citroen signature throughout the range. The side of the car has changed as well, and the back, just to bring more status to the product. We've also included new engines, an additional 130 horsepower engine petrol and 120 horsepower diesel engine with the weight of the car, which is, let's say, lighter than the average of the market. It brings really dynamism to this car. We've also included 12 driving aids to bring the expected level of technology and the credibility of this car. And in addition, as you know, this car will be the reference in terms of comfort for C-hatch offer. We have progressive hydraulic cushions in terms of technology to bring the suspensions at the top level and bring to the driver and to the other persons a flying carpet effect, which will be absolutely amazing, exactly in line with the Citroen values.
Can you actually also retrofit those new dampers to older vehicles, or is it just something that is built from the very new vehicles and that's it?
It's basically dedicated to the new generation. You might do it by yourself, but I would recommend not to do it and to let the manufacturer do it in order to have the best level of quality. So just a joke.
I mean, for example, if I have a older Cactus and I say, oh, this new suspension is so great, I want to have it on my previous Cactus. Would that be possible?
It will be a bit complicated to do that this way. You'd better go for a new one. I would recommend that you buy the new version.
But I mean, in general, the dampers are built in a way that they will also be adapted for other new models. So because the hydraulic system sits inside the damper, so you can basically fit it to every new model you could build.
You understand that we need some special adjustments at a high level of technology to bring this flying carpet effect and the top level of comfort. So that's something you cannot do by yourself.
Okay, but I mean, we've seen also the older vehicles, for example, where you needed those special extra canisters, to store, oil and for the air compression. Then, but here the system is somewhat easier then, and then you can also. What I meant is when there are new models in the Citroen lineup, that they also will probably receive this suspension.
You're right to say that we have in mind to bring to our customers, whatever the size of the product, the best feedback, the best experience in terms of comfort. So should it be for a small car, a medium car or a large car, comfort should be at the Citroen level, which means at the top. So we don't believe that it's necessary for smaller cars such as C3 or C3 Across, which do not have this technology, but still have this high level of comfort. But for the new C4 Cactus or maybe bigger cars, and that's the case for the new C5 Aircross just successfully launched in China. We will have this technology, so it's a possibility for us to expand it throughout the range. So we will do as much as possible in order to have the customer benefit.
And maybe also about the engines, will there at some point also be alternative drivetrains available for the Cactus?
We've just included, as I told you, 2 new engines, 130 petrol and 120 diesel. According to the weight of the car, it's a tremendous added value in terms of performances and CO2 consumption. But for the time being, that's enough.
Okay. And let's maybe just one thing more to the headlights, because I couldn't get that to know. Is it actually halogen, the normal headlight, or is it xenon, or can you update it somehow?
No, that's there is one single version for this car, which will bring the high level of technology expected for such a car.
Okay, so it's halogen.
Yes.
That's okay. Yes. But at least you always have the. This is also they are also standard, right?
Yes,
the LED
yes, absolutely.
Sometimes manufacturers make it optional and stuff,
no,
and
that's
then
standard, and that's part of the Citroen signature.
Okay.
One single version.
Okay. Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
insight.
Thanks to you.
See
Thank you very
next
much.
time. And now we're going to discuss the design with Thierry Hospital. He's the design manager for this vehicle. Of course, I want to know what was actually your initial task. What was, what people did tell you what you want to do with this vehicle?
The objective of our activity was to make a new design based on the C4 Cactus. That is a very important car in our brand. Very different car, very bold design car, and we had to work to change the position of the car and to install between all the actual car like the C3 Aircross and C5 Aircross, because the actual C4 Cactus is a little bit far away from the new DNA of Citroen, DNA design, okay, and we decide to redo the front of the car, and at least we redo more or less all the car. You can see on the front part of the car the new identity with the chevron that finished on the DRL with chrome bezels. And we still have the 2 level of headlamp with in this part.
Is it halogen, by the way? Or?
Sorry?
The headlamps, are those halogen? Or?
No, they are. It's a H1, H7. It's like the actual one. Okay. And we have all the black part protection all around the car. It's like a plastic belt all around the car, and we keep the air bump and put on the bottom of the car. And for us, it's a huge difference between the actual C4 Cactus. But the objective for us is to see more body paint and to have a car with more value for the client, because for us body paint is more an upper car like in the C segment. But we still have the originality on this car with these components. On the C segment you don't have this kind of components, and on this one you are close to the C segment. We have an alternative of C segment, but we hold the equipment of the C4 Cactus. You will see when you will test the car with comfort, with all the help for the driver. You have a perfectly C segment car.
Do you think that so far the C4 Cactus was a little bit too extraordinary for people, that people did not really understand the design concept, that you had to do it a little bit more elegant and less extraordinary now?
Maybe today it's simple to say this because you have the old one and the new one, but if you see all the brand, the actual brand, and all the range of car we have in this brand, you can understand why we have done this new design. It's to have this car in the brand and to have a good family. And the C4 Cactus with the new range of car is completely different, and we can't go on with this difference. We have new customers. They won't understand why we have this design, the actual design, in our new image, with our new image. That's why we changed the design of the car. No, it's not to say, oh, the old one was not a good one. For us, it was a very, very good design, very different design, But we change a little bit our direction. We want to have this car close to the C segment and an alternative for a buyer of C segment. It's our objective today, and I think with all the questions we have on this car, it's we have the good answer with this car.
Let's take a look at the rear for that. So here in the rear, you have those new LED lights, and actually at the lower part is the most protected area where it still, protects the car, the heaviest part. Is it, for Paris traffic still?
I think yes, for sure. It's maybe it's an help for us, this kind of protection. I think it's a good thing for the customer, all the protection, and we want to make a car very, very equal between the front and the back of the car, and that's why we redo the headlamp a little bit more wide, and we work on this to have a little bit the same signature from the front bumper, and we have the false air intake as on the front bumper. The objective of all the design is to have a car wider, and we worked a lot on the rear part. We introduced this line that cut a little bit the aspect of the car. It looks like with a bigger roof, okay? And it was our objective.
What about the color here? Was it available before? Is it a new launch color here now? Or how do you work with the new choices there?
About the color?
Yeah.
Yes, this color is a new one.
So how is it called?
Blue emerald. Okay, blue emerald, and it's for the launch of the. It was a color we decided to propose for the launch of the car, and I think it works well on the design of the car. It's very upper color. Okay.
What about the roof rails? We see they are missing now too. Will it still be possible to get them somehow, or is it also the new design concept? No roof rails, that's it.
Yes, I think we decide to have a car wider and lower to put the car close to the C segment. That's why the roof bars they are an option, and if the client if they want to have one, they can decide to buy with an option. Okay, it was a decision, a common decision. Okay.
Thank you, and let's take a last look in the interior. So the C4 Cactus in the previous variant already introduced this lounge atmosphere in the interior, and now you're stressing it with those new seats and also new materials. I think this one should be wild grey. I think
yes,
this
it's
one.
wild grey. Yes.
Yeah. And what I've also noticed that it works very well with those fabric elements and also with this grey Scandinavian design. Maybe a little bit you can maybe elaborate that, how you play out that one. Maybe explain a little bit more about this design scheme.
The objective of the seat is to suggest comfort, and we work on the design of the seat, of all the shape on the seat to suggest comfort. And we really have with the new seat with Citroen Advanced Comfort. I don't know if you test it. It's amazing. It's very soft, but in the same time you have. You don't have something too soft, okay? You have
soft on the top and
yes,
but hard enough on
exactly.
underneath. Yeah.
And it's great when you drive the car. And we work on this, and it's a big part of the comfort of the car. The second part is suspension, the new suspension with hydraulic cushions. What else on the interior? We work with a new console, okay, to communicate with the other seat, and it's like in the C segment you have a console, a very real one with a brake, with storage in the rear part of the console, and we modify the screen with a new tactile screen and with all the new help for the driver that are included in the screen and the instrument panel. Okay.
Well, we actually see here that you have good solutions also to use, fabric and cloth instead of only leather, And do you think that using more sustainable seating surfaces is also very important for future use of cars?
Yes, I think so. Yes. I think the result is interesting on this car, but we work in different way. You still have leather seats, and we work on new proposal. I don't know. I can talk in the future, but you have a good result in this proposal, okay?
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. I think this is already a very good answer how you can actually not use leather and still it looks really in a premium way. So this world premiere and the world premiere coverage from Autogefühl is coming to an end. And what can we take as a conclusion from today? Well, the new Citroen C4 Cactus is not all new, but it has way more changes than a usual facelift, that's for sure. Very interesting strategy by Citroen that they now got SUV all the way on the one hand, extending the portfolio, but on the other hand, reducing the portfolio again for models where they say, they won't sell that well in the future. And so this one here is the main compact hatch now, the Citroen C4 Cactus. Therefore, they have styled it in a more elegant way. Yes, it is less extraordinary than before, but I think if you take away this uniqueness, well, it looks some way more elegant, and I think it is also more beautiful than before. And again, the downside is that it has, less of a unique selling point design-wise. However, if you then compare it to other compact vehicles, it is still somewhat extraordinary for sure. Other compact cars are rather boring in this case design-wise. Well, there are some parts in the interior which still lack build quality. They have to work on that. But there are also other parts which are really excellent. Nice design ideas with this vintage luggage design. We had that one before. And those new seats are really interesting. Visually, both and comfort-wise. So I'm really, looking forward to the comfort result there in the long-term test. That is for sure a very interesting approach. Also, that they have, set their sails in general on more comfort, and the hydraulic suspension we have now here on the Cactus. This one then will be the crucial point. So much we're looking forward to that, to test that one, if it really will revive this, almost mystic technology. It was very famous in the past. This has been, maybe this then can be their new main unique selling point. Thank you so much for watching Autogefühl. Give me your feedback on the C4 Cactus with the updates. See you next time.